Hey YouTube, can I understand the Holy Spirit?
Yes, you can, and we're going to solve that today in 5 minutes or less. Hi, my name is D. Casper, and today we're going to be covering the mystery of the Holy Spirit. Who or what is the Holy Spirit? What purpose does He or it serve? And I want to share with you some things that really help me to better understand the role of the Holy Spirit. Jesus, first of all, continually refers to the Holy Spirit in ways that always imply personhood. So because of this, I'll refer to Him in the same way. I want to cover 3 main components of the mission of the Holy Spirit in our time together. In John chapter 16, Jesus lays out the first component of the Holy Spirit's mission, to convict. Jesus says that He's leaving and that it's a good thing, and the disciples really don't understand. Then He tells them that in His absence, the Holy Spirit will convict the world of sin, of righteousness, and of judgment. One thing that stands out to me here is the fact that the Holy Spirit is not just reserved for religious people, and that the Holy Spirit is actively working to awaken people who are away from God and who even know God that they have deficiencies and needs. But this is not for the purpose of discouragement. It's actually to point people to Jesus and to show us our need of Jesus. So He convicts us that we've sinned in our unbelief, that we've not lived a righteous life and need the righteousness of another, and that judgment is coming, where the enemy of souls will be judged, and that those who don't walk in the way will find the same judgment. This is the Holy Spirit's first role. His second role is to confirm that we are a child of God. In Ephesians chapter 1, verses 13 to 14, it says that we trusted in Jesus after we heard the word of truth, which is the gospel of our salvation. And when we believed in Jesus, we were sealed by the Holy Spirit, who acts as the guarantee or deposit until the second coming. Basically, when we encounter the gospel and believe in Jesus, the Holy Spirit testifies in heaven that we are children of God and that heaven is now our home. Paul in Romans 8, verses 14 to 16 goes so far as to say that we become adopted, that we're not in bondage, but actually adopted into the family of God, and that the Holy Spirit bears witness that we're children of God. Now, to be clear, this is of course dependent upon the fact that we walk in that decision. If we walk away from God, this process will need to start all over again. But when someone is adopted into a family, they don't know how to live like a child of their new father. They don't understand what the Father expects or how to obey. This leads us to the awesome final role of the Holy Spirit. The third point is that He conforms us into the image of God and teaches us how to live like a child of God. In Romans chapter 8, verses 3 to 8, Paul shows how this process works. He says, "For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, God did by sending His own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh. On account of sin, He condemned sin in the flesh, that the righteous requirement of the law might be fulfilled in us, who do not walk according to the flesh, but according to the Spirit. For those who live according to the flesh set their mind on the things of the flesh, but those who live according to the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity, is it hatred against God. For it is not subject to the law of God, nor indeed can be. So then, those who are in the flesh cannot please God. God offers us provision for holiness," is basically the point that Paul's making. So the righteous life that Christ lived in human flesh becomes available to us through the indwelling of the Holy Spirit in our lives. A similar allusion to this is found in Ezekiel 36, 25 to 27. He says, "Then I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you shall be clean. I will cleanse you from all your filthiness and from all your idols, and I'll give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. I'll take the heart of stone out of your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. And I'll put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you will keep my judgments and do them." Through the powerful provision of the life of Christ, when we receive that from God, we can have a righteous, obedient life. This is what Jesus enables us to do through the ministry of the Holy Spirit. So these are the 3 amazing and necessary roles of the Holy Spirit in the life. He first convicts us of our sin of unbelief to point us to Jesus as our only hope. When we believe in Jesus after we hear the gospel, the Spirit seals us and says, "You are now a child of God and adopted into the heavenly family." And lastly, He teaches us how to live like a child of God by writing His law in our hearts and in our minds, causing us to live a righteous, obedient life and empowering us to live that life through Christ. So the promise of the Holy Spirit is really a promise from God that He will supply what is needed in every area of deficiency in the Christian experience. Do you have deficiency in your Christian experience? The Holy Spirit has an answer. Paul even says in verses 26 and 27 of Romans 8 that we don't even know how to pray as we ought, but that the Holy Spirit groans on our behalf. So whatever inadequacies or deficiencies you have, Christ longs to provide, and it's found through the personhood of the Spirit working in your life. That's the beautiful truth of the Holy Spirit, and that alleviates the mystery for me.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.